the mortgage industry. It's the hottest podcast. I don't know what I was going to say there. I just lost my train of thought. But either way, this is a great podcast, and we're having fun doing it. Joining me, as always, is Michael McAllister. Michael, what's going on, brother?
What's up, man? I'm feeling hot today. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling hot.
We're feeling hot. Well, it's a hot topic. We got a hot topic today. And if you guys are here, you know the title, right? The title of this episode is Why Your CRM Sucks. Now, being with Empower, I'm sure you're like, okay, great. Is this just going to be you guys are going to tout Empower the entire time? And no, this is not. In fact, what we want this episode to be is when you hear the question that just will never die. I've been fighting this question for well over a decade. It's never going to die. But what is the best CRM to use? And da-da-da-da-da. And then a classic answer is the one that you'll use. And not that that's the wrong answer, but we want you to send this episode to anyone that ever asked the questions, because we're going to tell you exactly why your CRM sucks and what you could do about it. So let's dig right into it. Like, we're not even get to it. So Michael, as you know, let's just take a step back. Why do you think like this question will never die? Like, why do you think that is?
Man, that's a good, I think it's getting even, I mean, maybe I just haven't been in the industry long enough to have like seen it forever. Right. I mean, I'm coming up on 10 years in the industry, and the more social media becomes prominent, the more we see it. I feel like in Facebook groups and stuff today, like you're talking multiple times per day in the same group with the same answers.
Yeah.
And so I think technology and like the advancement and how cool some of the features inside of CRMs have gotten and are like accelerating, I'm sure that has something to do with it. But on the other hand, also, I think that there's just this tendency of us as like sales professionals to pursue like automation, shiny objects, like things that are on some level like out of our control, right? Mm-hmm. And honestly, at the end of the day, like pursuing these different things kind of distract us from like what actually makes a good CRM, or at least like what's going to make a CRM good for us. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think most loan officers just don't even they don't go into it with a plan. They don't go into it knowing how they want to leverage their CRM. They almost are looking for their CRM to give them a vision of what their business is going to look like, and give them all the answers for how to grow their business, when in fact your CRM should just be an extension of like what you want to be doing in your business. So to me, I think that's the biggest thing we see is like loan officers coming in thinking that the CRM is going to transform the way that they do business right off the bat.
And I think that point is the number one, right? Because obviously I deal with this all the time, as do you. But I've obviously dealt it on different levels, not just on the vendor side, but dealt with it, as a lender, sales leader, all of the different things, right? Coach. And you hit it, is that a lot of loan officers go in there expecting the CRM to define their workflow, and that's just not the case. There's no perfect CRM. I'm just going to throw that out there. Not ours, not any other. There's no perfect CRM. There's only a perfect fit. I could go into any Facebook group and I could name any CRM, and I will find 10 loan officers that love it and said it's changed their life. I could find 10 loan officers that said it's the worst piece of crap they've ever seen, right? So who's right? They both are, because it's all about the fit to the original, the loan officer, right? And so you have to go in there having your non-negotiable, your needs and wants. They're not the same. What do you need? Meaning like they're non-negotiables. Like, in order basically to me to do what I want to do, it needs to do these things. Then there's the wants. Those are the nice to haves, the things that maybe like will amplify or enhance or optimize what I do. But you can't, like, they're not one and the same. And so many originators, they don't even know what they want. They don't even know what they want. So they just go in there and the worst possible thing is to go into a Facebook group to ask a bunch of randos that may not work like you do, that has a totally different market, totally different workflow, different process, different everything. And then you're asking their opinion on what you should use, right? It's the worst thing you could do. And so that's why we're creating this podcast. So it could be the definitive answer of what you do, is that The way that I always tell people is that, or loan officers, is that you go in, you make your list of non-negotiables, you make your list of wants, and then you go and do all your demos. Every CRM will do a call with you to show you their platform, what they do, and you ask the questions of what your non-negotiables are. Then you go into your wants, and then you basically go and pick out. Now, look, you can get a list of different CRMs from the Facebook group, sure, just because there may be something you never heard of, right? But that people are always like, what's what's your best CRM and why, right? Like, again, like it's through their lens. But once you do that, you go through your list and then you just see what checks the box and which one did you feel more comfortable with? What company did you feel was good, right? Now, don't get me wrong. There are some companies that are better than other. There are some, it's like, we're not going to put anyone on blast, but like there are some companies that just aren't great in this space. And so and we're actually going to get like, just to take it another one, is that your CRM is a tool, right? Your CRM is a tool, and how it works and functions is really a reflection of how much time you're going to put into it and learn it. And I want you to, talk a little bit more about this in a second. And the other thing is that it's not a set it and forget it, right? It's not. You're going to have to take some time to doing it. But before Michael, I want you to talk about taking the time to learn it. But before that, this is the last thing I want to say on this, is that just like when I said it just like, it's a tool and ultimately like anyone could use it, but it really comes down to you, right? It really comes down to you on if you're going to make that tool effective or not. And then also understanding that, yes, the R in CRM is about relationships, but there's no technology that's going to create or keep relationships. None of them. It's a tool. It's a resource. You are the one that does the relationship, not the damn CRM. You are the one that does the relationship. So Michael, I want you to talk a little bit about taking the time to actually learn how to use a CRM effectively.
Yeah. I want to back up a second too, though. Like when, you brought up, you brought up what you need to do before you go in, and your needs and your needs and your wants, and listing out your needs and your wants. I would almost say that a prerequisite to that would be designing your ideal like customer journey, right?
100%,
Your ideal,
100%,
like from start to finish, what do you want doing business with you to look like? And what do you want doing business to look like for you? Like, what do you want your workflow to kind of look like? Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to go in, because I see loan officers making this mistake too, that they design that perfect flow and then they go in with outlandish expectations as far as how close they're going to get to that on day one. Which then leads me into the next piece that you kind of teed up, which is like, learn your CRM, learn the platform, obsess over that shit. If you don't like learning your CRM, then get a new CRM, because at the end of the day, like CRMs these days are like loan officers, the time that they spend in their CRM is arguably going to be some of the most valuable, some of the most like highly leveraged, impactful time that they spend during their day. Now, 5-10 years ago, that wasn't the case, right? 5-10 years ago, if you're sitting at your office every day, like sitting at your desk every day, you've got like leaders probably within your branch that'll pitch you shit for it, right? I remember when I first started the internet marketing stuff, like I caught crap from like industry, like people that had been in the industry for a while. I got crap from them all the time, no matter where I was at, because I was always behind my desk. Because where's the business being had? Well, the business is going out and going to BNI chapter meetings and events and meeting with agents, coffee meetings, all this stuff. That's no longer the case after COVID, and with technology, AI, where it's at. Like, we can leverage our time so much better, and so you should be spending an inordinate amount of time with your CRM. You should be learning it forward, backwards, and sideways. And so you pick your CRM based on which one is going to reward you the most for that time that you're investing. So what does a reward look like? Well, reward looks like more leverage in your business. So, we have, for example, like obviously we have our high level instance, right? We have our course, high level for mortgage pros. That's like 7.5 hours. And for some people, it's hard to get them to like get on board with taking, even 75% of that, giving them a couple, hey, you could skip this, and going through this. But for a lot of our clients, I mean, they start and they finish it within a couple days, and they're obsessing over that because they have this vision of what they want this flow to look like. They chose their tool based on what's going to help them get there. But then they realize, shit, this is up to me ultimately. Like that, like if I want my CRM to be an extension of my business, then this CRM has to be an extension of me, which means I need to know it forward, backwards, and sideways. So learning the CRM and having a CRM that has enough educational materials, enough YouTube videos, course content, whatever it is, like making sure that you're using a CRM that has enough information out there that you can learn it on that level, really, really important in my opinion.
Yeah, you know, you said a lot of great things there. I didn't listen to any of them, but I'm sure they were great. But no, you said a lot of good stuff there, and you know, I think one thing, and I think all of it was wrapped in what Michael was saying, but one thing is don't overcomplicate it, man. I mean, I'm telling you, loan officers overcomplicate the shit out of the CRM and what it does. And here's the problem: the more complex all the different like, you know, this and that, and like, you know, your workflows and all that other stuff, the easier it is to break. And then you're going to spend a lot of time figuring out where did it break, what did all these stuff. The automation, that's another thing. Everyone wants automation. A lot of them use like 10% of it and don't even really understand it, but they know they want the automation because someone, you know, like, hey, I want it so it does this. It sends an agent a gift. It sends a cup of coffee to, you know, my past client, all this other stuff, because that feels that they're buying back time. But I'll tell you right now, I've talked to so many people with the CRM. They're still building their CRM. They've been building it for like 3 years, right? Like you could have been doing like, you know, a lot more business than just focusing on that. It doesn't need to be complex. Just remember what the fundamentals are of what a CRM is, right? It's just is to help you keep in touch and keep organized with the data of the people that you're trying to bring in and the people that you've already brought in, right? And of course, the people that are in process, right? So that's what the CRM is for. And yes, you wanted to be able to communicate, maybe sending out text. And we have a future episode about TCPA and A2P and stuff like that, because we know that's a real pain, challenge and pain point. But it has to do all of these different things in your mind and all the bells and whistles and I could tell you this as a lender that, and I talked to the vendors, they know too, they said, look, everyone wants all of this stuff, but the adoption and the percentage is probably about 35%. Right. That means you're not using 65% of your stuff, 70% of your stuff. But you're paying for it and all that other stuff. And so like, it's just not important. It's just not important. Yeah. And don't forget the fundamentals. And there's people that are successful because they built a CRM around a tech stack that isn't like a true CRM. It could be like an Excel spreadsheet or whatever, right? Because they've developed their workflow, right? And, you know, one thing that I would say also is that Michael was at our, mastermind that we did in Scottsdale last year, kind of end of the year. We had people, basically we brought together people that were responsible for billions, right? With a B, billions in origination collectively. When you added everyone together that was speaking at our mastermind / workshop, and every single one of them talked about the importance of using their CRM, and none of them spend hours and overcomplicating it. They simplified it, understand what was important, and then they did what they needed to do. And if you're trying to scale and you're like, I don't want to be in my CRM, then don't. Then that's at some point when you scale, then you have like your LOA or your loan partner. Maybe you have a marketing assistant, operations manager, someone, the top teams, the people that I know, they definitely use their CRM, but they're not the ones that are spending the hours in it. Now, they definitely spent the time to build it because it's an extension of their originator brain and workflow, but that doesn't mean that they're spending every single day. They know how to get what they need, and their team does the rest. Do you have something you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would argue that like basically our rule of thumb with setting up automations, like setting up an automated workflow within your CRM, is like, for most people, 99% of situations, if the process that you're trying to automate didn't start as a manual process, then you should be moving on to something else. Like you automate things that you've proven in your business are effective and that you have created a process around. You don't start with the technology and go, what can I automate with this? You build your process first. You build the good habits in your business first. You send the communications manually. You copy and paste those templates. You do these things to dial them in, and then you come back and you automate them later. And I think that order of operations, if you can wrap your mind around that, then you won't invest in a CRM too early, because odds are, if you're listening to this and going, man, I still don't really understand how to pick the right CRM, it's because your first step hasn't taken place. which is like you actually have to have these processes in place. You like automations are there to automate existing processes, not to help you brainstorm new ones and be a freaking mad scientist dreaming up automations all day.
Yeah. Remember, my friends, when you're talking about a process, right, is you always start with the foundation. That's what you need to do first, because you could always add other stuff, right? Like you could get like our CRM that does everything, right? Literally does everything because it's high level, right? And we're not the only ones that use it, but like you could do anything on a high level pretty much, right? Yep. Doesn't mean you have to from day one. Start small, understand, take step by step, master that one thing that's important to your business. Because guess what? You may not need that or find any use to it. And then another thing is, just because it doesn't mean it's not valuable if you don't use it, because every CRM is going to have texting and email and all that other stuff, all the different things. Yeah. But don't base the value off of that. Base the value off, is it going to be dependable? And am I going to do it? Am I going to get the support? Am I going to have the community around me? And, my friends, like, one thing
that grow with it. That's another thing. Can I grow with the CRM?
Exactly. Can I scale and grow? Right. Cause that's important too. Cause you may want to do that and you don't want to put yourself in the box. So, one thing is that we're absolutely very clear on is that we don't want the MLO project to be a vanity exercise in advertising for Empower. But there are things that we do that, like, for example, we have a Facebook group, the High Level for Mortgage Pros Facebook group. It's open to anyone, whether you use us or not. It's all for people that use High Level. Some people buy it themselves and build their own High Level. Some people use another agency. We help everyone. If you go in that group, you'll see that the stuff that we show and teach could be used by anyone, whether they're our client or not. So I'm bringing all of this up to let you know that that's a resource. If you have questions about CRMs or High Level or anything, that is the official group for the mortgage industry about High Level. And so because that's one thing that, when Michael and I first started, really like talking about, partnering and collaborating and just what do we do, like that, Michael wasn't so key, it was more from my marketing brain. I'm like, man, you're really not talking about Empower. You're talking more about High Level. And that's because, not to speak for you, Michael, but I'm about to speak for you, is that like your focus was how do we make High Level just in general, a solid platform for the industry to use, no matter who's using what agency or whatnot, if they're just building themselves. And mostly that comes from both of our opinion is that the entrenched CRM players in the mortgage industry just have it wrong. Right. And no dig against them. I know a lot of those people and they're great people, but I think they're living they're working within an old, and of course they are, it's their product and stuff. It's their baby. So, but they're living in an old construct. And I think High Level is that open platform that just allows you to do everything at a price that just is unbeatable across the board.
Yeah, well, and scalable, right? For mortgage companies, like the fact that the most expensive High Level plan is $497 a month, makes it kind of hard for an actual SaaS company to compete with, for sure. But I mean, like the other side of this, I think, is interesting because you brought up that they're entrenched. Other CRMs are kind of entrenched in almost like an old way of doing things, and it's not even really fair, right? We won't even go into like the technical, like why High Level as a business would be hard to compete with for somebody who's a mortgage CRM. Yeah. But really the biggest thing that I think this comes down to is, and maybe a topic for another podcast episode, to be honest with you, but it's the difference between like loan officers 10 years ago being salespeople first, marketers second, right? Mm-hmm. And today, the best producing loan officers are and will continue to be marketers first, and salespeople second. And I don't think that technology is really caught up with that shift. High Level has basic CRM functionality in it and allows you to do everything that you need to do from a CRM standpoint. But what makes it powerful is that from an originator standpoint, you can manage all of your marketing in one spot. And so again, going back to Scottsdale, right? Like when people were on stage talking about the value of a CRM, a lot of them weren't even talking about features. There were a couple of them that were High Level users, which I thought was cool. But there were a couple that weren't and weren't even talking about like features or technology. It was all back to like that basic core CRM functionality, which I think is exactly, to your point from earlier, exactly where you start, but you find a platform that allows you to grow into the producer and the marketer that you want to be. And that, back to the core question of like, how do you pick your CRM? What's the best CRM? Why does your CRM suck? Well, your CRM sucks because you didn't go into it with the right mindset in the first place. And you probably didn't pick the right one based on your business and where you wanted to go with it.
Yeah. So essentially what Michael's saying is that your CRM doesn't suck, you suck, is what Michael's just trying to
basically paraphrasing.
Yeah. And to wrap this up real quick, when we're talking about loan officers and Scott, so Ashley Corville, who's a partner and collaborator with us at Empower and also a coach, with me at 2020.
Freaking rock star.
She's a rock star, and she is definitely one of those things that hasn't overcomplicated her tech stack or overcomplicated because she's single mom, she does all the things, and so like it has to work for her. So she uses it as an effective tool to allow her to do all the things. So she's in the Facebook group. You'll probably see her on video. She's definitely going to be, and she's a loan officer, by the way, guys. So it's not like that's what she does, but that's like just a big part of her world. So, she'll be a guest on the MLO project, and she could talk a little bit about that. I call her the Raging Cajun. So she's awesome. She comes in like a hurricane, but she's awesome, and so she's another great producer in the industry that the CRM is definitely the backbone of what she does. But she also went in with the right mindset and the right view, and you can learn from her stuff. So
yeah, she's a great example of how her adoption has like changed over time, but that doesn't mean that her business has changed drastically. I mean, yes, her business has improved obviously, but her automations are a direct extension of like the actual processes that she had in place before she automated them. And then her improvements as we go, she doesn't like go to the lab and try and think up these crazy, mile steps that she can take. It's one step at a time. Like she builds something, she puts it out there. It's not the best version of that automation or of that like workflow. And then she iterates over it over time, which is really like that concept of investing and knowing your CRM. And then again, committing to automating real processes, not going to the science lab, but automating real processes, and then just improving those processes over time.
100%. All right. Well, I think we've killed it. I think we crushed it. Just another awesome episode of the MLO project. And guys, share it, and gals, share it, review us, give us feedback. We would love to hear what Michael is doing wrong on these episodes, just because it's I'm going to get all the hate on that one, right? Like it's all that, yeah, we want to hear it all, right? Cause this, we're doing this, this is just for fun for us to do, but it's also, it's also, obviously at its core to provide value to that, answer questions and get you guys thinking about stuff differently. So, with that, another wrap on another episode. On behalf of Michael McAllister, I am Frazier, and we will see you on the next one. Take care. All right, give me that upload. Boom.
Sweet.
Come on.
All right.
There we go. Look at that.